Local manufacturers of COVID-19 test kits claim our regulatory authority is stifling the distribution and the export of these products. They are in massive demand globally. The authority concedes it is swamped with applications but says manufacturers are submitting incomplete documentation. Michael APPEL has this special report.
There are two main COVID-19 tests. The main PCR test, which detects the genetic information of the virus through swab samples, tells you if you currently have the virus. It takes about 24 hours for results. Then you have a rapid antibody test using blood samples, which detects within 15 minutes whether a person had the virus and had an immune response. The South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, SAHPRA, regulates, monitors, evaluates and registers all health products in the country. Biotechnologist Ashley Ace says his company has the capacity to manufacture up to 80,000 antibody test kits a day. But there's a problem.
We are ready to roll. We're waiting on SAHPRA's guidelines in terms of amending our license to add COVID-19 as a product to it and then to recommend their approved validation laboratories.
I've heard it's almost impossible to get an export license out of the regulatory authority. Is that true?
That is true, yes. Our SAHPRA license allows us to manufacture all classes of medical devices. But in the same license, it says that we can't distribute Class D products. And we've been trying to liaise with SAHPRA in terms of getting an amendment done, but it's very difficult getting responses.
Another diagnostic manufacturer developing two rapid COVID-19 test kits says he continually hits dead ends.
We've been asking SAHPRA whether we could do a validation of the prototype that we developed, and the answer from them was that we should approach MHLS, which we did, and the feedback was that we should first get permission from SAHPRA. So, it's round and round the mulberry bush you go, you can't get anywhere.
Roux says the authority put out a general guideline for test kits, but claims it's just too vague.
We haven't seen a protocol. What will be used to evaluate the test? What will be accepted? What antibody titers will be acceptable? We simply don't know.
Roux says the bottleneck at the regulatory authority means the local market is missing out.
It's very sad that we will not really be focusing then on the local market. This will be purely exports to the United States and to Europe.
SAHPRA says manufacturers can use the labs of the National Institute for Communicable Diseases, the National Health Laboratory Service, or specific private labs to validate their test kits. But this manufacturer, who asked we hide his identity, says that's proving difficult.
The local manufacturers here are struggling to find a laboratory or a place that has to be appointed by SAHPRA to have these tests evaluated.
The manufacturer, like many others, is frustrated.
Most of us are already registered with SAHPRA for all our other products. We are all ISO 13485 accredited. We are SAHPRA accredited. We just want an amendment to our license, not a full application for a new license. It's just an amendment. So what we cannot understand is why it is taking so long for them to give us some kind of a reply.
The regulator is dismissing the claims.
All of the manufacturers I've spoken to said it's almost impossible to get an export certificate. Is that correct?
No, that's definitely not correct. I mean, we haven't had an application for any of these tests to be exported. I must say a lot of the applications that we've received are for companies to bring these products into the country. We're currently sitting with about 56 applications for importing these products. There isn't a single company that has applied for export of these serological tests.
Some companies claim their paperwork goes missing, phone calls are not returned, and there's no feedback from the regulator. Not so, says the CEO.
The intention is indeed to expedite, and we have indicated a time frame between 5 and 7 days. However, the challenge that we're sitting with is that a number of these companies submit incomplete data. So for us as a regulator, we need to ensure that we apply scientific rigor in assessing these products.
Does the regulator sympathize with a lot of these companies who say they are sitting on millions of orders for test kits, but are blaming the regulator as a stumbling block. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I wouldn't, because we are, reviewing these literally every other day. This is new territory for everybody. We get new data almost every day. It's a very dynamic process. And so I would say to the companies, they must also, if they could just bear with us, where we're taking slightly longer.
SAHPRA admits it's struggling with sufficient capacity to deal with the sheer number of applications being submitted for these medical devices.